A very good afternoon and a good morning to all the viewers and those who are in another time zone. A very good evening from SuniyeTau, especially me, Iqtedar Abdi, who is residing in Sydney, as you are aware. And I have great pleasure in starting up another session on artificial intelligence and machine learning, about which we have a professional guest technologist, Mr. Gulam Husain, owner, CEO of Talgo, and he has had tons of experience in technology and is currently at the forefront on the artificial intelligence and machine language technologies, working with large corporations such as Infosys and other companies, Capgemini and so on. And right now he's working with some Australian companies, and he will tell us a little bit about them as we talk to him further. And of course, Dr. Alok Bajpai does not need any introduction. He has refreshed himself with a bottle of water,
yes, sir.
a sip of water, I should say, and he's all set up. And thank you. I wish I could share some of that. But anyway, Dr. Alok Bajpai is a renowned psychiatrist who resides in Kanpur. And by the way, Mr. Gulam Husain lives in Perth these days, but he works all over the world through his systems and is frequenting to Melbourne also. But anyway, back to Dr. Alok Bajpai, who does not need an introduction because he has been a regular on psychiatry and technology and other fronts on SuniyeTau. And so I welcome you, gentlemen, both. And it is good to have the two of you because one is a technology professional, other is a mind game psychiatry guru who has also taught children and is a Gandhiwad exponent, not necessarily always follower, because psychiatrists change their attitudes and versions every 30 seconds, I think, depending on what the other person is saying. They are their masters. But one good thing about his consistency is that he is always very willing to come up to SuniyeTau, programs and sessions, and we are grateful to him for that. So many thanks to you, gentlemen, both. And I would make it easy because I'm totally a beginner in the field of artificial intelligence. I have worked with Mr. Gulam Husain a little bit and know a few words of artificial intelligence. At least I can spell it. But let me pose the first question to both of you, and then I'll let Mr. Gulam Husain start the definition side of things. What is AI, artificial intelligence, and machine language?
Sir, I'll tell you. Let's do it reverse.
Okay.
Yeah, I would let.
I told you, folks, that he will always do something. Yeah.
Yes. Give 5-7 minutes. I'll take it from the point where it all began. Because I think that only then Gulam ji will be able to map it and take it forward.
All right. So but he will give you the technological side of things.
No, that's all right. It's very important because all this story will eventually merge.
Yeah.
All the story will merge eventually.
If Gulam Saab is ready to accept that sequence of things, I'm fine.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
I think that's very sensible. Yeah. So
because it will be good for audience also.
Yes, that's understand. What I wanted to start with.
Okay, let's go back to a decade of 1958. Before that, there was a lot of research was going in two directions, at least when it comes to brain. There were people who were hardcore physicalists who were saying that everything is brain, there is no mind. And there were people who were saying it's all mind. And they never united. So this mind was being dealt with philosophy, with psychology. Psychology was very strong. Freud was active at that time. Physicalists did not have much to say, except for that they knew that there is an electrical activity in the brain. There are neurons in a network. There is a chemical control of those neurons. There is an action potential called a spike. This is a different type of electricity. And all that is happening, which is creating your movement, your speech, your vision, yeah. So it was a very, very, the issues were deep, but they were not able to unite and give a coherent explanation. Then what happened? There came a book. And the book which came was written by Bertrand Russell, called Principia Mathematica, where he said that all mathematics can be reduced to a logic, to few expressions. Now that obviously did not make much impact, but two people got very inspired. There was a guy called McCulloch and there was another guy called Pitts. And they have a difference of 30, 40 years of age. They brought out a theory of what is called the calculus, the logical calculus of immanent neural activity. Which suddenly gave a lot of power to the people who were working with the structure of brain. It brought down the neural activity to a network. And the network, what he gave was essentially that all neurons which are connected work with a proposition where the signals are weighted and then the output is depending on how much, what is the weighting of the input. So there's a weighted signal which is coming in and there is an output. That output could be action and all that. So there was a simple model, simple diagrams. But there was a problem. It suddenly gave a fillip to people who were thinking about the brain, and they said that neurons can work in this logical solution. But these networks were not learning networks. We don't know whether McCulloch was really bothered about talking about learning. He just gave a model, but then this initiated what we call artificial neural networks and artificial intelligence. So then artificial intelligence came much later. Then somebody converted it to a machine called perceptron, which used to have a layer where it was the input, there was a layer which was the reading output, and there was a layer in between which was association. So things go in, they are spread in those layers of association, and then go on to reading. The brain was also thought to be like this. Then came in artificial intelligence and deep machine learning, where the layers increase, and nodes which Gulam Sahib will be able to tell you better. But why I wanted to tell you this story is that artificial intelligence, and then perceptron and all these things were applied to create an intelligence like brain, which we are still trying. Why I'm telling you this history, that like chemistry, biology, physics, mechanical engineering or computer engineering, neuroscience from the beginning was entwined with this neural network and what was deemed or doomed to be artificial intelligence.
Doomed is the right word.
No, I don't know. I still not saying, because, and then what happened? Initially, the knowledge about brain and neural network was feeding artificial neural network thing. And there was a point of time in 90s, or maybe slightly later, it went back in a cycle. Now, with the advent of this fast processors, and now artificial intelligence and all that deep neural network is feeding the research in neuroscience. So neuroscience has never been able to become a science in itself per se. It has physics, it has mathematics, it has biology, it has cybernetics, artificial intelligence, everything. So where we stand now, where artificial intelligence work is giving us the capacity to process the big data which is coming out from brain, right from imaging to EEG to forming the network theory, the connectivity theory. Now, what is artificial intelligence doing? As per me, they are trying to obviously, like we have talked before, this need of creating a human brain, that can be a philosophical discussion separately. But this artificial intelligence is trying to do what the human brain does. It is successful to a large extent. Both have been successful. With this, we have been able to understand brain, and with brain, we have been able to create machines which can identify object, know your preferences, the And the new things which are ImageNet and all, they are looking at expressions and all. So where we stand is that the artificial intelligence does not know the whole deeper processing of brain, which will be required someday if we want to create a really the artificial super intelligence, something like humans. But I don't think they're really bothered about knowing the functioning of brain, as long as the signal and the data is useful for working here. Vice versa, the people who are working in neuroscience also, some of them are just bothered about the utilitarian value of knowing this data, of imaging by brain may you have done a MRI, where does the mathematics section glow, but that I don't think is the real stuff, because brain is much more complex. It's just by electrical chemical signals, it can create a huge subjective world also, which stands as a last frontier, which we are also struggling with, how to really modify it. So this is where we stand. So we are in a entwined relationship, artificial intelligence and neuroscience. So all that will be used in other things also. So this is what I had to just set the premise. And Gulam sir.
Wonderful.